it evolved from like, do you play sports to like, your face looks familiar. Do I know you? And then it got to a point where there was like a gap between like people trying to see if they knew me and then people automatically thinking I was Chiney. And so that was like a few years. Yeah, so like they would walk up to me like, oh my gosh, your take on the Golden State Warriors yesterday. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. And they were like, so what do you think about this? I'm like, oh man, I really was hoping that you wouldn't evolve, but I have to break it to you. That's my sister. It's not me. So I hope this doesn't ruin your experience.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Do I Know You, which is the only talk show in the entire world which celebrates identity just through the lens of siblings and children of celebrities. My name's Jordy Ray, or Jordan, whatever you're more comfortable with, but I guess all my handles is Jordy Ray. So today I'm Jordy Ray. I'm your host, and I'm so excited that you're here. I started this show because my brother is a celebrity athlete, and I felt like there was no space to connect with people in similar positions and just understand how they walk out this life that is super weird and unique, and there's no playbook for. This is the community for that. But even if you are not a sibling or child of a celebrity, you are so more than welcome here, because really what we're trying to figure out at Do I Know You is how do you claim your own identity? How do you walk in the fullness of who you are without being attached to a job, a relative, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever? How do you just claim the full uniqueness of you? Child, I'm still trying to figure that out, so that's why we're here. Although I will say God is a very big part of that, but that we'll get there. We'll get there. This week, I am so beyond honored for our guest. She is the first WNBA player to grace the show. And to be the first on the show, I mean, we're starting off strong with a true legend. A true legend. I hate how people throw the word legend and icon around. If everybody's a legend, who's normal? But she is a true legend who's still playing, actually, and her name is Nneka Ogwumike. Y'all, Nneka's resume is long, okay? But just to rattle off a few accomplishments, she's the WNBA Players Association President. She's a 9-time All-Star. She's a WNBA champion. She just signed with the Seattle Storm, so she'll be playing for another season. She's a true veteran, a true legend. She's a MVP. Like, y'all, I'm telling you, when I'm saying the resume is long, I'm not hyping it up. She is absolutely incredible, and I love her family because they're in such a unique position. Her sister, she actually has 3 amazing sisters, but one of them is Chiney Ogwumike, who actually played in the WNBA and now is a TV personality. You've definitely seen her everywhere. They're both equally in the spotlight, but just for different things. It's so cute how they bounce off each other. You probably saw the viral moment recently where Nneka actually signed with the Seattle Storm and Chiney announced it live on air. So precious. I'm so excited to dig deep into what identity looks like with Nneka. We get into a lot of topics that we've never talked about on the show before, and unfortunately, this is my bestie now, so I will be claiming her as that forever. Sorry. I hope you guys love it. I know that you'll love her if you don't know her already. So, enough from me. Nneka Ogwumike. Nneka, welcome to Do I Know You. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
I am well. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to y'all. You would never believe how we met. We met in my TikTok comment section. Actually, that's actually a funny story because that video was not supposed to blow up either. I feel like I just be posting on TikTok looking a mess. And it's only when I try that I flop, and it's only when I look a mess that like the video actually hits something. But I basically made a video about how my brother was doing this commercial with Sydney Colson. Ha ha, he, ha ha ha. And then you're in the comments, and I was like, oh my gosh, this would be so fun to have her on. And you were so kind and said yes. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely. I must say, I am like one of the TikTok commenters. Like I'm always, the comments are just so, like the videos are funny, but the comments is really where the juice is at. It's funny because I'm not in my own comments. Like I'll be in my comments a little bit, you know, like because people show a lot of love.
Right.
But when I'm telling you, I'm just on my FYP and I'm crying laughing. And then I just go to the comments and then I'm peeing laughing. And it's just so funny.
The TikTok comment section, okay, quick rant. I feel like, have you heard of the concept of third spaces?
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar, a third space is like back in the old days, like the 80s. I'm Gen Z, so like that's the old days for me. Like you used to have like a third space. So it was like work, school, and then like, or sorry, work or school, and then home, and then a third space, like the library, or like, yeah,
Mhm.
like the little cafe where you meet up. Well, now work and home are blended for a lot of people, and like third spaces have disappeared. So my theory is that the TikTok comment section is like Gen Z and millennials like third space, which is why I think there's like a link up energy when we open up the
Yeah,
comments.
it feels as much. I think that is correct.
Thank you. Thank you. And maybe by the time this is out, TikTok might be gone. That's the other thing. I heard it's getting banned in like another 7 days. So we'll see
Well,
if this is even relevant.
let's get this episode out.
I know. Literally. Wait, I had to ask, since you're a TikTok stan, how did you do after the first ban? Did you cry the night away like me?
So I was committed and I was literally like on the side of TikTok's deathbed holding their hand and like just scrolling until I couldn't anymore. That's how I was. I was like, I'm going down with you. Like I'm gonna be here with your last breath. That's how I wanted to, I guess, cherish the moment.
Yeah.
I wasn't apocalyptic about it. I was just like, until I can't anymore. And
Holding her hand.
I was literally holding TikTok's hand.
That's so, until that little message popped up and you're like, well,
That
that's it.
popped up and I was like, well, back to reading books.
Period. I haven't read in years since TikTok came out.
Actually, interestingly enough, I do read books, but what I haven't done since I've been on TikTok is like watch TV shows. That's what I like.
Really?
Yeah, I used to have like a series on deck, and like I just got back into watching TV, just
Huh.
because there was just too much I was scrolling past, and I was like, okay, I need to tap in because I'm not trying to have all of these spoilers happen while I'm on TikTok. I want to get
Oh,
the experience. So yeah.
that's actually so valid. What are you watching right now?
So I just finished Paradise and now I'm
Stop!
watching.
I'm starting that today.
So as you're watching it, you should also go to Sterling K. Brown's wife. I think her name is Ryan.
Okay.
She records herself watching the episodes and like reacting.
Period.
And I love those two because they're Stanford grads. But
Oh,
yeah, but her reactions are like just so funny. I love her presence on TikTok. But
wow. I'm not familiar. Okay, you put me on.
yeah, she's awesome. He's awesome, obviously. But I just finished Paradise. I'm caught up with White Lotus, and now I'm watching Severance.
Wait, you're my sister for real. That's actually so funny. I'm like watching the same stuff. Ah. I know the way your mind works based on the shows you just gave me.
Well, I mean, I guess the podcast is done. I guess we're done with the
Yeah,
episode.
so thanks so much for coming on. We'll see you next time. That's so funny. Wait, you're caught up on Severance, you said?
No. I'm caught up on White Lotus.
On White Lotus.
Severance,
Okay.
I've only finished episode 3 of season 1.
Okay.
But
I
I
need to log
absolutely
in.
but what I love is that like because Chennai is like a serial show watcher. So
Mm.
she has watched everything under the sun, but she likes listening to the podcast of the breakdowns. And I
Oh.
started doing that. She encouraged me to do that. I started doing that when she told me to watch Succession, and I loved it. But now I get a lot of like my theories on TikTok. So White Lotus has so many theories, and then I see a lot of people breaking down Severance, and I was like, I don't need y'all to ruin this for me. I'm just
Okay, fair.
and then search the episodes on TikTok and then see what people say about it. So yeah.
Facts. Okay, that's tea. Maybe I should tap into the podcast. I feel the same way. Like even Severance does the breakdowns at the end of the episode, and I'm like, I
Yes.
kind of love being lost at the end. Like I don't really need you to explain this to me right now because I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, even though it's not a spoiler. I love finishing Severance and being as confused as I've ever been.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's so fun
Same,
to me.
same, same.
That's so funny. Okay, sorry, this is spiraling, but I do have to ask. Did you see, okay, because I also love Succession. Did you
Mm.
see that the family who, I forget their names in real lives, but like who it's like modeled after, they're going through like this crazy thing right now where it's like, they're like, I think the Murdochs, they're like literally be like their Succession in real life.
Yeah, I mean, there was word or rumors that the show was loosely based on them, but
Yes.
like the parallels are uncanny. I'm just kind of like, what
No,
is
the rumors are true.
the
The rumors are
rumors?
true.
The rumors are true. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes. So
I'm
we'll
glad we
have to
cleared that.
connect after about all the shows. Sorry, I'm like not trying
Mhm.
to. I just I love TV, but okay, this is good to know that you're a stan. I'm so happy you're here. There's so much to get into, but I just want to jump in. So I feel like you have a crazy resume, which, like, first of all, just I'm giving Black women their flowers all year long and forever. And like, I just want to give you your flowers right now. You are that girl. But I want to like zoom out as we think about like identity here on this show and what that looks like to you. You know, when you're not in the press room or the cameras are on or even at the negotiating table, like who is Nneka without all that?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. I I feel like there's like versions of me that a lot of people don't see.
Hmm.
And especially because of the roles that I hold, in my profession and also kind of like in my family,
Hmm.
which lean towards, you know, motherly, sisterly, leader-ish, presidential. I'm always kind of regarded as like she'll know what to do or she can
Hmm.
make the decision. And it's not to say that I'm not like that all the time, but that's not all that I am. And I feel like the versions of me that people don't see are like me talking to you about shows that I watch, me talking to you about, just stuff that's happening on TikTok. Like I'm very tapped into like social and cultural aspects of like what's going on. I'm uneducated about a lot of things. So like I seek a lot of knowledge. But I also love to cook. I like Chiney calls me like a lifestylist. Like I feel
Ooh.
like if I wasn't a basketball player, I would be like a consultant of some kind. Like I really
Ooh.
enjoy like researching and solving problems. And
Hmm.
I love the combination of like form and function. So whenever someone needs something or needs help with something, I don't like just like slapping a band-aid on it. I like something that is a sustainable fix. Or
Hmm.
if I do it or if I help them do something, they can learn from it and then they may not have to ask me again. So like
Hmm.
I love finding those form and functional type of solutions, whether it's creatively or pragmatically. And yeah, I'm also kind of like the type of person that's like, I love being at home, but if you catch me at the right time, I'll just be doing something very random. But but it has to be with someone that I'm comfortable with. I don't do stuff with strangers at all.
Like what? Like give me an example.
um, Let me think.
Like is it like are you jumping out the sky? Like should I be looking up?
No,
Is it like
no, death, no.
okay.
You should never be looking up to find me.
Okay.
That is not, I'm not like scared of heights, but I'm like, there's just certain things,
Why test the Lord?
you know what I'm saying? Like, I I like to think that I'm relatively young as a human being, you know?
Yes.
I would like to know what it feels like to be old.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm just like, nah. But I
Yes.
don't know, just like randomly I might be at some type of um market and like, branding my
Mhm.
own cowboy hat or something like that, which is something
Ooh.
I've done. I'll find things to do and I'll go with my friends or my family and if someone's like, "Hey, you want to try this out?" Sure. Let's
Mm.
let's go ahead.
Yeah, but you have to be with the right people.
I have to be with the right people and it's not super risky. A random trip, even though to many that's not a risk, but to me, I'm risking my comfort and time. So
Wow.
so
Valid.
so that's important to me.
Valid.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
love that. I love that. Are you okay? You're the oldest.
I am a four.
So you're the oldest of 4. You were born in Houston, but you're first gen, correct?
For for sure.
Are you in therapy? Because I'm hearing all the different things where it's like, yeah, people expect me to do this, or like, and I can be the strong one and I can hold it up, but like your girl might be tired. Like, what does that look like for you?
Like this. It's inescapable, but I am in therapy.
Me too, girl.
I read something a while ago. I forgot where. It might have been like a tweet, and it said something about learning your birth chart is understanding your relationship with yourself, and being in therapy is understanding your relationship with other people. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, wow. Now let's not say that's like law, but like when I
Right.
kind of viewed it that way, I was like, because therapy also helps you with your relationship with yourself. But like when I viewed it that way, I was like, oh wow, okay, I have to know myself, but then also know myself within the constructs of these different relationships. And I think I sought therapy really just because I'm someone who like has a very hard time like opening up. I'm a Cancer sign, so I have a
Okay.
very hard time like being vulnerable in front of people, because like one of my biggest fears is people taking advantage of my emotions or like my circumstance. I don't like that feeling. I don't. Let's just say like one of my biggest icks is getting got. Like I don't like that.
Oh.
I tell my friends all the time, I never want a surprise birthday party. I don't want a surprise party of any kind, because you're gonna surprise, I'm gonna be startled, but for like the first like 45 minutes of the party, I'm just gonna be thinking about like, so all of y'all lied to me. Like that's how I am, and I needed a third party to help me understand those aspects of who I am, but then
Fair.
also understand like the nature and nurture of who I am as well. I am the way I am, but I'm also not only the first daughter of a first generation household when it comes to the kids, but I'm also Nigerian, and I'm also the first granddaughter in my family. So like there's a lot, there's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack
There's
there.
a lot there, but I'm very, very aware of like what that means. But I also try to like give myself grace when it comes to managing the expectations of a very strong and like closely regarded family structure, but then also me being the individual that I am, because I very much love my culture. Like I'm not someone who's trying to push my culture away, but there's aspects of it that I'm like, okay, I got to understand how to navigate this for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That is so beautiful. And I'm so glad you brought the Nigerian culture up, because I want to talk about your name. Before we do, though, I have to say, because of slavery, yeah, I'm going there.
What a way to start a sentence. I love it. I feel like we could go the rest of our lives starting every sentence like that.
I'm saying, thank you for seeing me. Because of slavery, I don't know where I'm from, is where I was going with that. But I am a self-identified Nigerian because all my Nigerian friends say that they can see that for me. Also, I feel deeply immersed in the Nigerian music. Burna Boy, Ashake. I listen to Nigerian worship music. I'm right there.
Worship?
What?
You're deep.
I'm deep. I'm deep. Emperor of the universe. Yeah, my king. He be spinning. Yes, I'm like fully there. So I'm just gonna say that I see you as my Niger sister right now before I ask this next question. Yes.
And I will say though, you probably are Nigerian.
Really?
Yeah, like you probably are.
That's all I had to hear. Great. Yeah. Like I'm not even a question. That's awesome.
Everybody that I'm like, you probably are. Because that's just how amazing we are.
Like, we don't know. And have you ever done one of those, or what are they called? Like the 23andMe's, or like.
I have a funny story.
Please.
Okay, it's funny, but also like I can understand the privilege behind it, because I was born in America and my parents are both from Nigeria, and I did like a nutritional panel, and my nutritionist was like, oh, along with the panel, you also get the results of your ethnicity. And I was like, okay. And I looked at it, and it said that I was like 98.2% Nigerian, and that they couldn't legally say that I was 100%.
Were you serious?
That's like what the paper said. And I was like, oh. And then like the other percentage was like somewhere else in West Africa. And I was like, oh, okay. So my dad was like, you didn't need those results. I was like, okay.
But it came with it. It came with it.
I was like, if I didn't know.
That's so funny. We cannot legally make a claim here.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
Like, gotcha. Thank you. All right. Okay, well, with that in mind, I want to talk about your name because I read somewhere. So let me back up. I think a big part of identity is language, and a big part of language is, nomenclature. And you just have a beautiful name. And I read somewhere in an article that you had said that you feel like your career has been impacted by your name. And in the article, you gave an example of like, I think there's instances where like my highlights might not get shown because an announcer does not want to pronounce my full name or does not make the effort to pronounce it. Right. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like, when I started playing basketball, I was completely unaware of where it would take me. Even at an early age, I didn't even know sports scholarships were a thing. My whole family didn't know. And so when that started to become more of a reality, I think the focus was kind of mostly on that. And then with kind of like my improvement and success came obviously, more attention. And, I was always described as the player that kind of was like, oh, like she doesn't have any sauce, she just gets the job done. And I didn't really care. I still don't, honestly. Like,
period.
I don't care. But I just thought it was interesting because there were instances where I just started noticing like, okay, I was like clearly outperforming other people and was still being overlooked. And after a while, I was like, man, is it because maybe perhaps like the obstacle is literally just in the name, I started understanding that when I would get interviewed and such, people would either butcher my name or like make some type of joke. Like one of the worst excuses I hate is like, oh, I'm not going to try it. I don't want to butcher it. And I'm like, no, that's how in language learning, that's how you learn how to talk. Like,
yes. Also, you can say Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I'm gonna need you to try to say my name right now.
You know what I'm saying? So I stopped kind of succumbing to that and made it very clear that no, take your time. This is how you say it. And over time, I kind of stepped into the power of like owning my name and also the value that comes with it. Now, it's a theory. I have a lot of theories, but it's a theory that I really started kind of like noticing a trend with. And, perhaps that's the reason why I'm sure there's so many other reasons why. But I do feel like there's just every time there's something that you're facing, especially as women, there's always some other hurdle, like you have the top players that they like to push. And a lot of times those were the white players. And then you have white cis women, and then you have Black women, but then the Black feminine ones are the ones that they want to put, like there's just, it's just like an hierarchy that I was just kind of like, okay, so then if you're Black and femme, if they can pronounce your name, like it's just,
yeah.
I just started realizing that, this, everyone's going through this. This just might be where my peg is on the ladder. And there's always someone that's below you. And so I think it just gave me a better understanding of the privilege that you have, even in those moments when you feel devalued, just kind of managing the understanding of that balance and what you can do with it.
So interesting. And I mean, I think that's such a real experience and such a valid theory. Do you think colorism plays a part in that as well? Or like in the league in general?
Oh yeah. I mean, colorism.
Yeah.
I feel like colorism is an issue everywhere. Is it, even in the communities with color, like,
yeah, because what?
Yeah. I mean, in Nigeria, like colorism has been rampant because they've been advocating for people to bleach their skin for so long. And I feel like if it's a personal choice, it's a personal choice. But I do feel like those types of things came because we were made to believe that who we were was inferior, and that's made its way into societal value. And when you look in sports, like, sure, the dark aggressive athletic player is going to appear more monstrous. I'm sure Draymond deals with that.
I was just thinking that.
Like, yeah, I feel like it's something that we have to unlearn.
Absolutely. I do sometimes wonder, I've never talked to him about this, but I would be curious, like, well, first of all, would a light skin named Draymond ever exist? I'm not sure. But in a hypothetical universe where that does exist, I would be curious. I mean, I'm sure our theory is correct, right? Like, well, me co-opting your theory. I'm sure it's correct where there's always that force. So that's really interesting. I want to talk more about basketball, but first I want to talk a little bit more about your family. So you're one of 4 sisters?
Sisters,
your dad, God's strongest soldier, period. So I want to focus though on you and Chiney. So from what I've seen, which is just like me watching through a screen, so I don't actually know your real relationship, you all seem like besties, and it's giving, have you heard like the black cat golden retriever vibe?
Yes.
Yeah. You know where I'm going with this? Wait, which one do you think I'm going to say you are?
So I think a lot of people are going to say, this is how I would describe us.
Okay.
I would say that Chiney is a golden retriever rising, but a black cat sun.
Wow, that's so
like,
interesting.
I'm like the flip. What's interesting actually though is, so like now you're dead. So this is something I'm interested in, and not a lot of people know, but like when I interact with people, I talk to them about it. So I'm a Cancer sun. I'm a Leo rising and a Scorpio moon. I don't tell a lot of people about my moon because there's a lot of stigma around Scorpios.
Wait, really? I don't do astrology, so I don't know what any of this means.
Okay. We can talk about this offline, but
okay.
But so like cliff notes, like real quick. So like the rising is kind of like the personality that like the universe wants you to be, but it's also like who people think you are without knowing you. And then the sun, which is like the one people are like, what's your sign? Like that's like the general one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like what month and like what time of the month you were born in. That's the one that like people who know you would describe you, And your moon is like who you are when no one is around and like your deepest emotions.
And that's what you're okay.
So, but what's interesting is that Chiney and I have the exact same rising and moon. Chiney's just an Aries sun. So very interesting.
That is tea, because right. I was literally gonna say you give like chill, mellow. I'm sure people can, but for the most part, like chill, mellow. She seemed very like rah up here, and it just seems like the perfect balance.
Oh yeah, we definitely balance each other.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, tell me about, I guess, like your relationship, and then with all of your sisters, like. Do you feel like you all were always close? Was there a moment that brought you closer?
I mean, I feel like we were always raised to be like close and to kind of respect and love each other. But Chiney and I are 2.5 years apart, and then she's Miramar are like 2.5 years apart. So we kind of have like our buddies. Yeah. But then we also have an interesting kind of relationship because Chiney and Irma kind of share a personality, and then me and Chisom kind of share a personality. So you kind of have like an older one paired with the younger one.
Yeah.
And through that, I just feel like we have gotten to get to know each other in different ways as we've gotten older. I wouldn't say that I started getting to know like my sisters as people, because like when you're younger, it's kind of like, oh, that's your sister, that's your brother, you know.
Right.
And I wouldn't say that I started getting to know my sisters as people until like maybe like I would say maybe like 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was then where it was like they weren't just like a construct. Like I'm like, that's Chiney, your little sister. That's Chisom, your little sister. That's Irma. Like I wasn't just thinking of them as like objects in my family tree. And we started having like human experiences, people experiences, and I really feel grateful for what I've learned from my sister. I learned a lot from my sisters, but I would say that, especially with Irma, I was probably like considered another mother to her up until up until like maybe 5 years ago. Like
Wow.
I helped raise Arima, and it was just our dynamic has evolved, and it's just very funny to see.
I'm sure. It's probably funny for you both.
Yeah, it is.
That's so precious. I always say, I mean, I think the moment I realized I was like truly growing up was not when I first paid rent, although that was a defining moment. It was actually when I realized that my family were people, kind of like what you're saying. For me, it was like my parents. I was like, oh, wow. You're like a real person. Like, okay, my mom's definitely watching this. Mom, don't take this the wrong way. But like, you know how they're like, I'm not one of your little friends. But it's like, I was like, oh, wow, like this is actually like a woman, not
Yeah,
just my mom. If that, you know what I'm saying? And like,
yeah,
when my brother started having kids, I was like, whoa, you're not just like my annoying older brother. Like, you're a dad. And like, that's the
yeah.
identity that you actually take on before probably brother. Right. And so it's just like such a weird thing to experience, which is kind of what I hear you saying too.
Yeah, it is a weird thing to experience because, like I said, you're kind of like in this, you're placed in this space for so long. And I guess as a child, you can really only understand it to a certain depth. But like, I love the example that you use. Like, he's probably now a dad and maybe even a husband before he can be a brother,
For sure.
And it's amazing to see in how our family members are living their lives, but then it's also amazing to see how they grow in those roles, and then like where we fit into those new identities that they create for themselves.
And that is the topic in every therapy session, because I'm like, okay, if I'm the star, how does the star continue to shine when she's not the center? Like, that's like just such a real thing, and like a main character moment that I had to like truly like come to face with. But it's so beautiful, and I think it's all part of evolving. And I think for you too, it's probably so surreal watching like your baby sisters become women. Like, that's just, it's so cool too that you got to play such a pivotal role in, forming them.
Yeah. It's weird, and it's like, for the longest people are like, oh, you're like their mom, and I was like, yeah, whatever. But now I'm like, oh my god, am I like their mom? I
What
feel
is
proud.
It's giving Nicki Minaj, all these is my sons. Like, y'all are really my sons, my children.
These are my children.
I love that. And no one has kids yet, right?
Not yet.
So that's going to be a whole, okay, we'll do a part 2 once you get that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about identity now. Well, first of all, okay, there's like 6 thoughts in my mind. I want to say the first thing is, I was going to say identity in the world of like your job. And I had someone recently at a party, I had someone push back on me when I said that it does not matter if, I'm in like a corporate girly, or if I'm a doctor, or if I play in the league. Like, a job is a job. And they were pushing back, and they were like, well, I'm sure your brother doesn't consider his job a job. It's not that. I said, no, it's very much so a job. You consider the W a job, correct?
Yes, like I go to work, I do my job, and I get paid.
And I go home.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. They were going back and forth with me.
What did they mean by that? Like, what do they think that he considers what he does as?
So they were saying that, okay, true ignorance. And I think it just shows that there is a gap of understanding, right? But they were basically saying that because he's on TV and because he gets a lot of like perks, I think is the word he was using, that it's technically not a job in the same way that, like, for me, like, I work a corporate job, like, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, that was just such a, like, I could drill to the root of the argument and like identify 10 wrong things there. Like, you could argue that I get perks too, like my 401k, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a perk is a perk, it's still your job.
Yeah, it's all relative, honestly.
Yeah.
It's all relative, but it's also subjective. Maybe some people don't consider it a job because they love it that much. They always say that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, But you can't ignore what all of what we do comes with. Now, that person perhaps, or a lot of people perhaps think, oh my gosh, like, they see what they see. And things are presented to be desirable in nature and to appear as though it's perfect. And we live in a society that aspires to celebridom, to fame,
Yeah.
to notoriety, wealth, and riches. And maybe because that is what's aspirational, it's not necessarily easy for someone to consider what we do as work,
Facts.
because that world is otherworldly in a lot of different.
Right.
But what we do at work,
Exactly.
because if I stop playing, it all stops.
Exactly.
If I stop playing, it stops.
Like, who's paying this rent or mortgage? I don't know if you're rent or rent, but like, I have to show up to work.
I have to. I
Okay.
must.
Thank you for validating me. I hope he's watching. He's definitely not. I think I'm blocked. But okay, I want to talk about identity in the world of basketball. So
Mhm.
you work at a job you play with, and you are one of like the very powerful women in the league, right? And it's so cool to see like the spotlight and the credit that's rightfully earned. But I'm curious, in that there's also I would imagine like it takes some serious effort to maintain your own identity. So how
Mhm.
do you continue to just be true to who you are and maintain your own unique identity and not get lost in like the swirl of the collective?
That's it's ever evolving. Every day is
Mm,
different, but that is one of the hardest parts of this job that we
mm,
have is being you. And I
mm,
think the foundation is you made it to this level doing what you do. You made it to this level doing something
mm.
that you can identify with.
Yeah.
When you try to reinvent that's not authentic, things will shift in a way that kind of
Mm,
falters the foundation. But how initially, I was never the athlete that would come out and speak out and say certain things. I just was like, I play, I answer correctly, and I go
mm.
home. And like that was literally
Yes.
the but it's what was taught to us when I first entered the league, because
Mm,
there was no incentive to do anything but just play well so you can get a great contract overseas and then rinse and repeat. But then
mm,
sports is what it is today. And I'm happy that along that route, I opened myself up to, because I got to a point where I was like, I know I'm not just here to just play. And it
mm.
helped me when I was elected as president to realize that there was so much more purpose in what I could do, on and off the court, in a way that can still kind of reflect my value, like as an athlete. And
Yeah.
through that type of leadership, I was able to discover both that, hey, your voice matters. Hey, relationships in what you do matter. So, like, relationships
Mm,
with players and coaches and all of the executives, you
yeah.
meet some amazing people,
Mm,
and relationships are important to me. And so
mm,
I made an effort to make sure that I was both accessible and receptive to, new encounters. And then
yeah.
after kind of like leaning heavily into like, okay, using my voice and speaking out and, putting myself out there, because in the same way where, okay, I can be on CNN and like be doing an interview, like I'm also like I like challenges, and I like pushing myself in spaces that helps me grow. So like one of the first things that I ever did that was like huge and my family didn't want me to do was the body issue. But I was like, I knew how amazing that was. And I was like, I want
Mm.
to do it. I want to do it.
Period.
I want to do it. And like they asked me twice. So I was like, I can't say no the second time, because they wanted me and Chiney to do it together. And
Oh.
first time, like, we didn't do it. And so I was like, okay, I want to do this. And being able to show the intersectionality that is me,
Mm,
that I challenge myself with by entering spaces that I feel are comfortable, but also that will push me outside of my comfort zone.
mm,
Um, Through that, I've learned that I can be those things. I can be a leader, but then I'm kind of now I'm kind of now almost like circling back to the beginning, where it's like, okay, the leadership thing, like, I get it. We get it. She's the president. We get it. Okay. But I'm still a player. Don't
right.
play with me. Like, I'm not the president when we're on the court, you know?
Period.
Like,
Do you feel like that's like do people just assume like, oh, you're not going to go hard or whatever because like you're also representing or like advocating for me?
it's not necessarily like I'm not going to go hard, but it's like, okay, if there is kind of like a moment of aggressiveness, if there is a passionate moment, I'm looked at a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm involved in it, they're like, why are you doing this? You know? And I'm just kind of like, I'm out here with y'all too. Like I'm trying to win, you know?
Literally.
Don't think that, you know, I can advocate for you and advocate for myself, you know?
That part.
So I'm entering a space now where I'm like, I can separate the two. I've always been able to separate the two, but standing in my business while handling my business is something that I'm finding right now. And just, you know, I'm not to be played with, but you can still ask me a question if you need help.
Period. Two things can be true. It's giving duality.
There we go.
Yeah. So, okay, beautiful answer. I want to go further into each of those. I guess my first question, though, is how does that come about to be elected president of the union? Like, is it like you're nominated? Did you have to run for it? Like, what did that look like?
Oh yeah, it's just like any president. If you're adhering to, you know, the governing, you campaign, you put your name out there, and they vote. Like that's literally.
Gotcha.
But I will tell you that this is my third term, and I've run unopposed every time. So I'm trying to, because I'm not playing forever. I was like, I'm trying to make this a job that people want. For a long time, it was a job that people did not want. And
why? Why do you think that was the case?
I think it's just like a lot of responsibility. You know, it is a lot of responsibility. And I would say the responsibility is heavy on like the accessibility, you know, being accessible along with what you're having to do on the court and off the court. It's like another job, that not even just being president, being on the executive committee, being a player rep, like it's another job. You have to be paid. So yeah. Here we are.
When you say accessibility, you're saying like anyone in the league can reach you for anything.
I'm not necessarily saying that. That is more my style, but I'm not necessarily saying that. Like I would say like being accessible to the WNBPA staff, being accessible in a way where you can be on as many meetings. I mean, there's really not a meeting that the president should not be on. And we have a lot of meetings, and especially so now, like in us renegotiating a CBA, like you just have to be on. You have to be on, alert, and ready. And you have to know when to delegate.
Facts. I'm sure. Okay, that just seems like such a cool growth experience, though. I'm sure you feel like a different woman now compared to like before the first time you even ran.
Oh, 100%. What? There's so much that doesn't faze me anymore.
Like, I'm sure.
It is so much.
Oh my gosh, because were you doing this through COVID?
Yes. That was the hardest year. That year, wow. And BG was locked up. Those were the two hardest years. Actually, you know what? I would say 16, 20, and then also when BG was locked up, because 16 was when some players started a media blackout for the unjust killing of Philando Castile. That was like when we really started bringing that to the forefront. And then 2020 was really crazy because obviously what was going on, but then we were playing in a bubble. We didn't know what was going on with this pandemic, and it was just so much going on.
And y'all were in like doing a lot of advocacy with the election, right? Was that 2020 or
that was the bubble? Yeah, that was the COVID year. Yeah. We had just finished negotiating the current CBA that we just opted out of. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Does it come with massages?
You said what?
Wait, what'd you say?
I said it was a lot, but not just for me. But you said something about massages?
Oh, I said, does the job come with a massage? Shoot. I'm writing a masseuse in my contract for all that.
No, it does not. It does not. But you know what's funny, though? Like, massages for us aren't like...
Ooh. Oh, fair.
It's so funny because I went on vacation with my aunt, and she was like... She took me to Cabo, and she was like, "Oh, their spa here is amazing. Like, you don't want a massage?" And I was like, "No, not really."
So
Not really,
fair.
because like, I literally get rubbed on every day. And the worst thing that for an athlete, I'm speaking for all athletes, is to go to some random place and someone not know where they need to attend to. That and
That's a
like
really good
getting
point.
caressed is the worst.
Correct.
Yeah, like what is this?
Don't touch me.
Or do. Like that's what's happening. That's what's not happening. Like,
So funny. Oh
yeah.
my gosh. That's so fair. Well, I guess even with, the tumultuous years maybe or just like the resistance, um, what would you say has been like your proudest moment so far as president?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't take back any of those years, honestly.
Mm.
Proudest moment was probably like that whole bubble season. Like that whole season. Um I have never experienced anything like that before. I don't think we ever will either. Like that
Mm.
was amazing.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
In terms of what? Like the camaraderie, something else?
Yes. Yes. The
Mm.
camaraderie. We had never been in a position where all of the players were in one place at the same time. Us being able to organize and mobilize. It was phenomenal.
Wow, that is incredible. It's so amazing how, I mean, I always say I'm a homebody. And so 2020 for me,
Cheers.
all stuff aside, and I do mean all the tragedy. That was like lockdown 8 for me. Like if we could do lockdown right now today, I would like be my best self. I like regret not being on TikTok during the lockdown. That was when all the girls were dancing and now they don't even need a job because like that was like where I feel like things just really popped off. But it just does feel like there were so many lessons in 2020 that like we have completely forgotten or maybe some of us remember and others are trying to erase. And so it's cool though that
Right.
you get to like still be president now and like continue building on what you guys learned and like what you were able to do in 2020.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a catalyst for so much, and I think it's
Wow.
why we have like the muscle memory that we have today.
Love that. Love that muscle memory. Well, I guess you fight a lot for like players' rights and you advocate a lot for women in general. I guess I'm curious if there's like a personal cause or personal issue that you're passionate about that maybe wouldn't necessarily make the news.
Ooh, I'm very much like what Issa Rae said, like everybody black. I'm voting for everybody black. I'm cheering for everybody black. Like that has been like supercharged into me. I was always kind of like that, but now I'm like very intentional about it and like specifically black women. Like I just love seeing how amazing we are and learning
Mm,
and just uplifting. It's just and for me, I have a special place in like the diaspora. So like an
mm,
example right now, and this isn't like a cause, but like I feel like we live in this world where like we have to be what do they call what is it again? Why am I blanking on it? Not an advocate, but they always used to call me
oh,
um they always used to call me something and I told them that I was like, no, like
not an
anyway.
advocate,
Like it is an advocate, but it's
but
like
it's not that word.
it's not
It's
that
gonna come.
word.
It's gonna come to you as soon as we end the call. We'll
Oh my
edit it
gosh.
in.
I'm like the activist. Wow. There it is.
There it is. Period.
I was completely blanking. Ooh, I've hit my hourly limit of TikTok
Oh
today.
yeah, no more for you. No more. Back to severance.
Right. I feel like that was severance. But
Your Audi was glitching, literally.
definitely glitching.
That's so funny.
But yeah, like people always used to say, oh, she's an activist. And I was just kind of like, I really don't like that word because like it implies that you have to do more than like being active. Being active is doing what you're
Mm,
supposed to be doing. Like I don't know. But in society,
mm.
there's always like some cause, like who needs help, who is suffering. There's a lot of suffering in this world. There's a lot of
There
suffering in
is.
this world, but there's also a lot of people. I feel like suffering is incredibly subjective. And
Mm,
if there's a way that I can help that is authentic to me, and I do that by voting with my dollar. Like I try my best to patron Black women who are business owners. I try to patron the diaspora. I try to patron minority owned businesses. I
Yeah.
feel like that's how I want to be active. And so
Mm.
if there was a cause, I guess you could say, it's that. I just try. I'm like someone who's just like in the trenches, like in the dusty back, like, ooh, where'd you get that?
In the
Hold on.
TikTok comments.
And then you find out who made it, and it's just some young woman in Nigeria who has like a passion and a vision
Wow.
and creativity. And I just find it's so important to vote with your dollar, to recirculate that energy. So that's what
Yes.
I'm
And
thinking about.
I love that. Amen. We're seeing that so much more now. I mean,
Mhm.
I guess right now, I was really laying down thinking about earlier this morning, like, because basically for context, I just saw that the University of Michigan just ended they just basically shut down their
Right.
office of DEI. And I was like, wow, someone could literally in the government say the N word easier than they could say DEI right now. And I guess as the world, well, I'm not even saying the world, as the top people in power in the United States is continuing to backslide and like actively take steps towards segregation. Do you feel like right now with the current presidency, you're in for like a tougher battle as president? Or do you feel like the same stuff kind of still has always, like it's always still there?
I mean, I just feel like, when have we not ever experienced, as Black women, we've been born into this. I
Yeah.
actually feel like perhaps what a lot of people are realizing or experiencing right now is something that we've just always had to live with. There's
Mm.
just more people that are alert to what this experience is because it's now affecting them.
Mm.
Um, Unfortunately, it's been a lot of I told you so. And I'll say this too, because one thing that really upset me in this last election cycle, aside from the results, but was this idea that was being propagated that Black men did not vote for Kamala. And when the
Mm.
news came out, they did. And I was
Mm.
very upset about that because, oh, you're trying to pit us against each other, even with the data, even knowing the
Mm.
data. You wanted us to believe that we weren't having each other's backs. And it made me feel a type of way because I was like, man, I started looking at people different. I was like, so you telling me that I'm like walking around, I'm like, so you telling me that y'all did it? Only to find out that they did, and overwhelmingly so. And I
Mm.
was falling into that trap, and I was like, "Oh no, 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 no! There's no
Wow.
room. There's no room to settle into that fear. I'm going
Mm.
to continue to be who I am. I'm going to continue to spread whatever forward movement productivity that I can. I'm not someone who subscribes to, oh, doom and gloom, worst case scenario.
Right.
I can be an idealist at times, but most times I'm like, where am I? What do I see? What can I do? You know?
Yes.
That's kind of
Yes.
that's where I feel that I'm at right now.
I love that. It doesn't have to be some big things, just starting in your own little corner of the world.
Yeah, and also like I'm not gonna do it if I don't feel like doing it. Like I'm also I'm also gonna rest because
Come on,
there's always
resistance.
something to do. Yeah.
Yes. I
Hmm.
love that. Okay. I hope this doesn't come off insensitive, but I did see the day that, like, it was like the day that there was like a Trump order, and it was like basically there was some form of like legal contractors can like segregate. I don't know what it was, but it was like one of the worst things he's done. And like I see that and I scroll on TikTok. The next video was like black people, like old black people doing like the new fan line dance. And I was like, this is a perfect picture of America right now. Black people, go do what you need to do to find joy. This will still be here later, and it's not our job to clean it up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
honestly just keep doing what you're doing. If you can do a little bit more in a way that that suits your rhythm, sure. But
Yeah.
killing ourselves over it, I
Never that.
just no. Mm-mm.
Never that. No, I totally agree. One of the last questions I have for you is I really admire how multidimensional you are. I think you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's amazing to me. So you went to Stanford, and W wasn't even on your radar, right? Like you were thinking about med school?
I was. Chiney was the one who was like, enter the draft, enter the draft. I was
Which
just
is
like,
so crazy because you were the number one pick.
that's what she was telling me. And I was like, but I was like, this post baccalaureate program, like if I enter it now, like I can just bang out all. Chiney was like, that will always be here. Like, this is literally how she was talking to me. Like, literally how your brother.
I was just about to say, claiming.
School will always be here. Let's enter the draft. Because Chiney was like on all the message boards and everything. And I was like, okay, sure. I mean, but honestly, it was because like there was nothing for me to look towards to say, hey, this is going to be a great career for you. They weren't in the league that way. And then my family was very green to it. We started basketball late. And so we were all learning together and we didn't even know about overseas. Like that wasn't even something that we were aware of. So what we knew is what we knew.
Right. And you were like, I'm not trying to struggle. Yeah. I'm not trying to do. I mean, Black women and their love for higher ed. I mean, period. Come on, we're the most educated group of people in the world, so that doesn't surprise me. I think it's just so amazing, though, how you continue, like your legacy, whenever you finish playing basketball, will be far beyond just the sport. Is that like an intentional choice you make to kind of go beyond just like the 1D portrayal that like, society tries to project on Black women?
I mean, I think it's just it's a combination of like how I am, how I've been raised, but then also seeing this landscape and how it's changed so much. And I'm like, oh no, like the possibilities are many, it wasn't seemingly so, or really wasn't so at all when I first entered the league. But like I said before, like I'm learning from so many players that are entering way after me. And so I'm inspired by seeing the things that they're doing. And it's allowing me to understand that I don't have to limit myself. But then I also feel and hear that there's more that I can be doing, whether it's, whether it's like for me as someone who feels like they have creative juice, because I really do feel like sports it's a creative kind of field, and how we're able to use our bodies and achieve amazing things, but then also using that platform and see the places that I can reach and touch. There's so many different places that I've been, people that I've met, all just because I'm a basketball player. And I really do love that. And I don't think I would be doing myself a service if I just kind of dribbled the ball.
Shut up and dribble. Yeah, exactly.
There are times when I wish I could just be like, no, I'm not doing anything else.
It's not even in you. You're not even wired like that.
It's my job.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just so inspiring to see. Last question for you.
What's up?
For the little Black girls watching, for the ones who are really just stepping into what identity looks like to them, wherever they are in the world, in our current climate, what would be your advice for them?
It's very simple, and maybe it's because of how I was. Speaking to how you were saying that Black women love higher education, like, yes, that's good. That's well, we have aspirations and we know that we have to work hard to be credentialed to do what we want to do. But don't take everything so seriously that you miss out on the joy of it all, honestly, especially when you're younger, because I think we get so serious so early. A lot of us are parentified and we just need we need to have youth, adolescence, childhood, because that's what you're going to have to come back to when the seriousness is too much.
Something in me is healing. As soon as you said that, you know what I thought of? Me, 5 years old, grabbing a bottle of red nail polish and being told, no, you'll look too grown. Huh? It's red, Mom.
Started that.
I don't know. And Mom, I'm not blaming you. I know you heard it from your grandma too. I know you did.
Yeah, no. But she was doing her best. But like, who really started? Why is red scarlet color? Like, why is that an issue? I've never
Scarlet letter.
I've always thought red nail polish was like, I don't know, like
childish.
Not even like childish. It was just kind of like, I never thought it was like sexy. I always thought red polish was like what you saw in like grandmas and stuff. You know? Am I wrong?
Sexy grandma, yeah.
Maybe mom had a point.
Maybe she did. Maybe she did, but it's so true. There's a whole other podcast we'll have to do on something I think about a lot. Like when you talk about, like, what did you say? Parentification? I made that up.
Yeah, notification.
Like, even as a Black girl getting our hair done, like, I don't know, have you ever gotten a relaxer?
Oh, yes. Yes. I've gotten it all.
Period. You know, the cue when you know it's ready to take it out is, let me know when it's burning. Like, that's insane.
Why should we wait till it's burning?
Why do I have to learn how to
turn? What?
Why is pain normalized? Like, there's a whole other conversation there.
Pain. It's what we heard growing up. Beauty is pain.
Yes. Beauty is pain. Pretty hurts. Yes, Beyonce. Yes, she said it. Yeah. But no, I completely agree. And I'm just so thankful. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a beautiful conversation. And we're so excited for your season. Best of luck. Oh, shoot. I didn't even ask you. Sorry. I have to keep you on. The viral moment, you and Chiney, her announcing that you were signing with Seattle. Was this planned? Yeah. How did this come about?
Oh yeah. So it was not planned. I was thinking about last year's or this year's, but this year's.
Oh, period. My bad. You're right. This year's.
It was not planned. I was in the weight room and Chiney kept blowing up my line and I was like, hey, and she was like, we're live. And I was like, I didn't hear what she said. I was like, huh? I was like, I'm in the weight room. Like, what do you? She was like, just say hi. I was like, okay, cool. I said hi. Then they went to commercial break. And then she called me again and she was like, hey, can I break that you're signing? And I was like, yes, actually, you know what? Do me a solid because I'm not really trying to do anything with that anyway. So she was like, oh, wonderful, great. And I just let her take the wheel. I was like, go ahead. Have at it.
So funny. That's so Black cat golden retriever. Yeah. That's great. It was such a beautiful moment. Thanks for letting me go over with you. This is great.
It really does pay to have a sister on TV. I will say that.
Man, I know it's well, the way we met in my comment section was you were saying like you saw her on what was it, like, is it cake or something?
Yeah. Oh my God. So that was why I related to you because, you know, I'm niched when it comes to like what I take in. Yeah. And I'm like, I watch all the food shows, like Great British Bake Off, like Next Level Chef, like, and what was that one called again? Like Snack versus something. Anyway.
Oh wow, you're for real. I haven't even seen that.
Oh yeah. I watch all of them. And Chiney called me one day and she was like, I'm on set. And I was like, oh, really? What are you doing? And she was like, have you heard of this show called Is It Cake? And I was like, you're going to be on Is It Cake? And she was like, yeah, like, it's kind of cool and fun. She was like, it's actually really hard to tell. And I was like, Chiney, this is niche me. What are you Anyway.
Like, I know, girl. I know it's hard.
Yes! I've watched every episode.
Twice.
Yes. And then she called me back on the way home. She's like, they let us eat it. It was so good. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway. That happens to me way more often than it should. But I will say that like I'm also not good because like my family will harass me when they're like watching TV and they like see that I'm doing an interview and they're like, so you didn't want to tell us that you were going to be on CNN. And I was like, I'm not good with that kind of stuff. They say I have an interview, I do the interview and I punch it out and then I go about my day.
Yeah, literally. You don't think so.
And then Chiney has like pictures with like Snoop Dogg. Like I'm like, where are you right now? What are you doing?
That's always okay. You're more like Dre then because that's me. I'll text him and I'm like, what's up? What's new? He's like, same old stuff. And then I like see him like doing something so crazy. And I'm like, okay, I get it's normal. I understand that. But sometimes you got to let your girl know. Like I have to. I've
gotten better, but I understand what you mean.
Okay, period. I also meant to tell you, sorry, this is like whatever. No, now we're just talking as friends, but I literally saw you. It's like a few weeks ago. I was in New York, eating my little cookie. big back walking through the subway, which is, first of all, nasty. That's how you know I was hungry. Eating a cookie in the subway is like, whoa, are you good?
I've only taken the subway once because I wanted to know what it felt like.
You've never taken it besides that?
Not in New York, no.
Wow, you get a car or something.
Yeah, like usually, or I walk. Like I really love walking, but I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, this is scary. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like scary and like, oh my gosh, there's figures down there, but there are figures down there. But I was just kind of like, how do people know where to go? I couldn't understand.
Oh.
I would have been stuck down there for sure.
So
But
fair.
anyway,
I feel like I lived in Spain for a little bit and now I live in Chicago. And so I feel like I get like a high off like figuring out the directions, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, whatever. But I saw you on an ad. That's the whole point of me saying this. And I was just like, it was for, if this is wrong, I'm going to cut it out. But Brooks.
Oh yeah, Brooks Brothers.
Brooks Brothers. Yes.
Yeah, that was actually really fun.
It was such a beautiful ad. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. That's the thing though. Like you like look up, I'm sure it happens with you and Chiney or like me and Dre all the time. I like look up and I'm like, oh my God, trigger warning. Why are you here? Why are you following me?
It's always funny though, like when I'm like in the airport and like Chiney's like on TV and I'm just like, oh, or like I'm in the gym and like Chiney's on TV and I'm like, oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
I was somewhere. Wait, you go.
I was like, I love this anyway. But what's like funny is like, so back in the day, like because I've kind of like, it's interesting. The surge of the WNBA, the barometer for me is like airport, because like when we first got into the league, like traveling alone, speaking as someone traveling alone, like if I have to do all these appearances in the off season and stuff, like I would go through the airport, probably have no interaction with anyone, like up until like, let's say like 2016, 2018-ish. And then like 2020 came and people were like, it evolved from like, do you play sports to like, your face looks familiar. Do I know you? And then it got to a point where there was like a gap between like people trying to see if they knew me and then people automatically thinking I was Chiney. And so that was like,
really?
Yeah. So like they would walk up to me like, oh my gosh, your take on the Golden State Warriors yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. And they were like, so what do you think about this? I'm like, oh man, I really was hoping that you wouldn't evolve, but I have to break it to you. That's my sister. It's not me. So I hope this doesn't ruin your experience.
The follow-up question.
And they're like, oh, okay, thanks. And I'm like, sorry. But sometimes for a long time, they wouldn't do the follow-ups and it would still be a thing. It was like cool or whatever. Disclaimer, all people don't look the same. But anyway, she's my sister, so I give people a little bit of a pass.
Do you? Because I was just thinking, I mean,
people think we're twins, but like, if you don't think all Black people look the same, you can see that we don't look the same.
Like, I don't think y'all look anything alike.
Right. But
okay. Are y'all the same height?
She's my sister. Chiney's a little taller than me.
Okay. Yeah. That's true. I mean, people used to think my 6'4" dad was Shaq. So
what?
He would bald, Black, beefy. I mean,
he would stories that are coming through my head. But go ahead.
Okay. He would literally sign stuff as Shaq, which is funny. Hopefully, Tahira, his daughter Tahira has been on. Hopefully, she's watching. Sorry, Tahira, my dad was signing as your dad, but yeah, he would just do it all the time. It's just like, there's just simply no way you're making any ounce of an effort. There's no way. There's no way.
Chiney said when she was playing in Italy, some guy ran up to her and he was like, Michelle Obama. And she was like, so disgusted. She was like, no. And then someone else ran up there and was like, Serena Williams. And I was just like,
oh my gosh. What? Wait, what? Okay, there's actually no way they were calling her that. They were just yelling out the names of the only Black women they knew. That's all that was happening.
Oh my God. So
Serena?
Yes.
Did she start crip walking? Oh, this is like pre-Super Bowl. Never mind.
Yeah, way pre-Super Bowl. And please do not invite Chiney to do that because she will try.
Oh no.
She will try. Cool.
Nneka, thank you so much for coming on. You are incredible. You're welcome back anytime. We're rooting for you and just so honored to have you on Do I Know You.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. I love your platform, and this space needs to be occupied, so I'm glad that you are doing that. So yeah.
Thank you. I will do it every time for us. Thanks, girl. I told y'all you were going to love her. I mean, how can you not be obsessed? She is like such a perfect picture of like, I can do it all, but I'm not going to do it all because I care about my body and who I am as like a Black woman. But also I'm going to give all that I have, but also I'm learning how to like reserve some of that for me. Like, humans are complex, and she just wears that complexity so well. I'm inspired. Thank you, Nneka, for coming on. You are chef's kiss. Absolutely wonderful. I hope you all enjoyed another episode down. Oh my gosh. It has been such a fun season, honestly, for me. And I just feel like if nothing else, this is just building community in such a beautiful and powerful way. So thank you, Jesus, for that. Thank you all so much for being here. I love you. You are enough. You are more than enough as you are. God sees you. God loves you. God knows you. Cheers to you. Mwah. Bye, y'all.